Well, hello there, all of you beautiful people.
You're beautiful, it's true.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you didn't know, my name is Luffy Bruce here on YouTube, or Sydney if you're nasty, or just trying to be polite. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I welcome you to my humble abode. Sure, we'll go with that. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back again and again. You sweet, sweet soul, you. Today's wine is the Allegro Punk Sweet Rosé. Yes, we love it. It is a local wine to the Pennsylvania state. And it's delicious. It's one of my favorite wines. Full disclosure, I've had this 1,000,001 times, but I thought I'd share it with you guys in today's video and also on Instagram, so you can go follow me there and see me with this wine, posing like the little cuties we are. One of my favorite wines. It is so good. Today's Friday, if you didn't know. And on Fridays, we feel fine. And we talk about things that make us feel fine. And while today might be a bit of a heavier Feelin' Fine Friday topic, as we do sometimes often talk about, we still love ourselves some true crime Netflix docuseries. That's right, we're here with another one. Now, this one you might have heard of, but you might not have heard of it because it's not about something super famous that happened. I had actually never heard of this kind of investigation and crime. We talked about a couple of, true crime Netflix docuseries in the past. I will link those up here. But both of those ones were pretty well-known cases. The first one, of course, being Richard Ramirez as the Night Stalker and his crimes, and the investigators that hunted him down, and the other one being the disappearance / investigation into the death of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel. So today's video will also be true crime related, as it will relate to a Netflix docuseries. So I recently watched Murder Among the Mormons. The reason I wanted to talk about this was because this one flew me. It flew me. It just flew me. It threw me. That's the word. For a flippin' loop. So if you haven't watched the docuseries and maybe you don't want to watch the docuseries, or maybe you have no interest and you don't care, or you're just watching the video for the sake of watching the video, which, hey, listen, I love and appreciate you for that as well. But if you want an idea on what the docuseries is about, I won't go too much into detail because it's literally only 3 episodes long. So if you have been interested in watching it, you should just go watch it. Don't listen to me butcher it. Go watch. But I will give you just a quick little summarization, and warning, there will be the discussion of some adult themes in this video, and there will be spoilers for the docuseries. So just know that both of those things are happening. So just a quick little summarization of the show. 3-episode series. It delves into, in particular, a man named Mark Hoffman. Now, Mark Hoffman was a member of the Mormon Church. Now, I just want to say, I am not here to bash on anybody's beliefs or religions. You do you, boo-boo. Whatever you want to do with your life and your religious beliefs is up to you. As an adult, Mark got into collecting, or finding, shall we say, rare historical first edition documents. So he would go into a bookstore, and all of his friends and anybody that knew him and anybody that worked with him as a document collector and connoisseur, shall we say, enthusiast, they would say that he had a knack for going into a bookstore and just finding things that spoke to him that ended up being very rare versions of documents or books or articles or whatever. Because of this talent, Mark had found some very expensive items. They talk about one particular piece of history that he found was an article called The Oath of the Freeman. And this was supposedly the first printed document of the Americas. And he had supposedly just found this in a rando bookstore in New York City. I don't think it's a rando bookstore. I think it's a pretty famous bookstore. But anyway, point is that he found it, right? And he found somebody that was willing to go in with him 50-50, which was actually Mark's idea. It was Mark's idea to go 50-50, but he found a partner that wanted to authenticate this document and sell it with him. They were going to sell this document for, I want to say 1.5 million. I could be wrong about that. If anybody else has watched the series and I'm incorrect, let me know down in the comments below, please and thank you. Mark had a niche in his document collecting business, and that was specifically in documents that related to his faith, which was the Church of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church. And he ended up finding a document that ended up being called the Salamander Letter. So Mark Hoffman supposedly found a letter from Joseph Smith's wife that claimed it was actually a white salamander that led Joseph Smith to Moroni, the angel, which kind of threw a wrench into what Mormons and the church itself had always believed, right? So it kind of just threw a little wrench in their history. The church wanted to buy the salamander letter from Mark so that they could own it, and then they could kind of keep it under wraps. So he sold them the salamander letter. However, then Mark found what became known as the McClellan pages, which, once again, was just more wrench throwing into the history of the Mormon Church and its creation. For example, one of the things that was in the McClellan pages that didn't sit too well with the church was that supposedly Joseph Smith's wife, in one of these pages, in a letter, acknowledged that it wasn't Joseph Smith who was visited by Moroni and told of the golden tablets. It was actually Joseph's brother. The church wasn't thrilled about the discovery of these McClellan pages. And a representative of the church was working with Mark Hoffman to try and buy these pages now so that the church would then own them as well, and they could examine the documents, go through them in full, authenticate them, and verify if these were real documents or not, and if everything they knew was being questioned. Before any of that could happen, right, the man who was working with the church to get Mark Hoffman to sell him these McClellan pages, his office blew up. Somebody put a bomb in it. Crazy. I know, right? Now, there was a bomb at this guy's office, and then, from my understanding, I at first thought it was like maybe different days, but apparently it was like all within the same day. But apparently after a couple of hours of this guy's office getting bombed, somebody's home got bombed. The man, I should say, let me say this, because this is the part that's sad. The man who was working with Mark to buy the McClellan pages to give them to the church, he was unfortunately in his office when the bomb exploded. And even more unfortunate, well, they're both unfortunate. I shouldn't say even more unfortunate, but unfortunately, the wife of the home with the bomb, she found the bomb. She was the one that found it. The matriarch of the family home, if you will, found that bomb and opened it, and unfortunately she also died. And then a third goes off, and that is in the car of Mark Hoffman. Eventually, slowly but surely, just to kind of sum this up, it comes out, and the investigators investigating the bombings, they find evidence to believe that the documents that Mark had been selling for high prices, and the ones that the Mormon church didn't want coming out, were forgeries. The oath of a freeman was faked. They actually were able to locate the store and the plate itself that he had made specially so that he could print Oath of a Freeman. And they even hired historical document specialists and examiners, which I didn't even know was a thing. That's a job. That's like a job. Like, people learn how paper ages, essentially, is what these guys do. They learn and study how documents age and whether or not they're real and true documents. Crazy. Crazy. And I should also acknowledge that the documents that Mark Hoffman had attempted to sell and had attempted to get authenticated and verified were authenticated. They were authenticated. The Oath of a Freeman document, authenticated. It passed every authentication test. It was going to be sold for $1 million had the police not found this plate that he had used to make it. Mark Hoffman was a con man. And it turns out that the guy working with the Mormon church, as basically the go-between between the church and Mark Hoffman, to try and get these McClellan pages, or these McClellan papers. I think they might have been called the McClellan papers. Mark Hoffman was concerned that he was going to find out that Mark was a fraud, because Mark wasn't able to produce all of these McClellan pages, or McClellan papers, because he wasn't able to forge them fast enough. So he was worried that he was going to be outed by this guy. And so his solution, instead of just coming clean and saying, okay, listen, I faked it, all right, I'm sorry, put me away, I did it. Instead of just owning up to it, he decided, I'm just gonna create a pipe bomb. And that's exactly what he did, with nails in it. So, he really wanted this guy dead. That's basically the story. Mark Hoffman was a fraud who was afraid of being caught, so he planted some pipe bombs. Everybody's natural response to being afraid that they're just going to get outed as a forger. I don't know. It's a different type of crime from like somebody like your Richard Ramirez's, to use the Night Stalker docuseries, right? This was somebody that was born into an abusive, somewhat neglectful, concerning background that developed disturbing behaviors. This guy had every opportunity for a perfectly normal life, and yet he's in prison because he wanted fast money, lots of money, and he didn't want to have to put in the hard work to do it. And I feel for the families that lost loved ones because of his selfishness and his narcissism. And I feel for his own family because I feel like that's something we often tend to forget. And I wanted to talk about it because it interested me, it fascinated me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. If you've watched the series, definitely comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. I found it very interesting, as I always do with these Netflix true crime docuseries. I don't think I've ever watched one that I didn't like. If you like these kinds of Feelin' Fine Fridays, give this video a like on it, a little thumbs up, so that I know that you guys are enjoying these kinds of Feelin' Fine Fridays. I know not necessarily feeling fine, but definitely things that interest me. Subscribe if you want to see more like this from me. Alright, I'll stop. But yeah, subscribe, hit the bell so you can see more from me because I upload videos like this where I sit down and hang out with you guys every Friday, and in between on Tuesdays and Sundays I play games. So you can watch me do that. Currently playing Immortals Phoenix Rising, so you can go watch that up here. I will link the whole playlist if you want to watch that. But if not, I appreciate the time you've given me today, and if you've made it this far, I really appreciate you. You're a beautiful person, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, week, weekend, whatever. And I will see you when I upload again. Bye!